Any of you here? Cool. My presentation today will cover the following topics. It's about a 25-minute presentation, and at the end there'll be plenty of time for questions. I'm going to talk about the RSM experience, our accreditation and reputation as a business school, our portfolio of programs, program structure, exchange possibilities, our career services center, admissions requirements, our application procedure and deadlines, some information about financing your studies, and time for questions at the end. RSM has a very wide network in the corporate world, and we asked our corporate partners what they're looking for when they're recruiting recent graduates. They told us they're looking for graduates who have a lot of knowledge in the subject area, who are entrepreneurial, who are forward-thinking, who have international experience, so really understand how to do business with in the global world. And they're also looking for graduates who graduated from a university that's accredited, that's well-ranked, that they know is research-based and is a part of an extensive network, especially in the corporate world, because they really want to have graduates who have studied things that are useful to them. And what do we offer you as a business school? Well, we have more than 45 years of experience in business education. We have a complete portfolio of programs, so you can study bachelor's at RSM, you can study pre-master's, master of science, PhDs, and we also have an MBA program in executive ed. We share the Erasmus Research Institute of Management with the Faculty of Economics, and this research institute is consistently ranked as one of the top 3 research institutes in business and economics in Europe. We also have a high return on investment, and what we mean by that is, I'm sure a lot of you are looking at other business schools in different parts of Europe. If you compare our tuition fees to schools that rank in the similar positions as we do, like Bocconi, Asada, HEC, LSE, then you can see we have really competitive tuition fees, especially if you're European national, which I assume all of you, or maybe most of you are. So yeah, basically all students that are from the European Union get a very large scholarship from the Dutch government. It costs about 18,000 euros per year to study at RSM, but if you have an EU nationality, you only have to pay just over 2,000 euros. We are extremely international. If you look at our master population, we have over 70 nationalities, so it's really an international classroom that you're going into. We have tons of exchange possibilities. We have an exchange network with other top business schools in the world. We have a very active alumni network. We have something called Triple Crown accreditation, which is something only 1% of business schools worldwide have. And that means we have these 3 accreditations with AA, CSB, EQUIS, and EMBA. Those are specific accrediting bodies for business education. We also have national accreditation. And we are very popular among corporations. More than 400 corporations recruit our students from our campus every year. And we are also very well ranked. This is our program portfolio. Most of our programs are 1 year. This is very common in the Netherlands. Most master's programs are only 1 year. Only technical masters tend to be 2 years, but all of their master programs are 1 year. As you can see, you can specialize in just about every area of business. We also have 2 16-month programs, Master in Management, which is a special program for non-business majors. So, for example, say you study something non-related to business like engineering, you can still do a Master at RSM, this one. And we also have Finance and Investments Advanced for students who want a more of a challenge in the Finance Master. And we have one 18-month program as the International Management SEMS program. And that program is a program that we give with a consortium of 21 other top business schools in the world. We do 1 semester at RSM, 1 semester at one of our exchange partners, and then you do also a corporate internship. The program structure. Most of our our programs are structured in this way. All of our programs start in September every year, so it's not possible, unfortunately, to start in January. They all start in September. Depending on how the academic year falls, sometimes the kickoff will be at the very end of August, sometimes in the first week of September. But they all programs start with a kickoff, usually 1 or 2 days. You meet your professor and your classmates, and you do some kind of a team building exercise. Right after that, you start the core courses. The core courses are mandatory courses that you take for your specific program. At the end of the first semester, you have a research skills seminar, basically to dust off your research skills to prepare you for your master's thesis. Writing a master's thesis is always a mandatory part of the master's programs at RSM. And because the master is so compact, it's really important that actually right off the bat, you start thinking about what you want to write your master's thesis on. So kind of think of a topic, you need to find a thesis coach among the staff, and at the end of the first semester, then you need to have your thesis approved and to really start it. The spring semester, we have the electives, and what's really cool about the electives is you get to choose which one you do, and we have 3 blocks of them. 2 of the blocks have to be in your major, so say you're studying finance and investments, you need to take 2 electives in finance and investments, but say you're also interested in marketing, the 3rd elective can be taken in one of the other masters. So you can really personalize your program there. At the same time, you're also going to start working more seriously on your master thesis. And then after the elective block, you really have to start writing a master's thesis. It is possible in some of the master programs to integrate the master's thesis with an internship. And the internship is something that our Career Services Center will help you with. We don't guarantee internships for our students, with the exception of the Finance and Investments program and the International Management SEMS program, but if that's something you're interested in, then we'll help you try to find one. And something else, if you do a master at RSM, you really want to go abroad, that's possible for all programs, but you have to do it after you complete the master. So basically, you leave like 1 elective open, and then you can go on exchange. If you're interested in an exchange program, then you can, there'll be a presentation usually in the first semester from our international office, and they're the ones who run the exchange program. You can apply for an exchange spot. There's more information on our website if you already want to look into the possibilities for that. Exchange, rsm.nl/exchange. Yeah, this is something that a lot of our students do because it gives you a really good opportunity to see another university, another country, and if you see the list of exchange partners, it's really crazy. Our Career Services Center. As I said, RSM has a dedicated Career Services Center. We have staff members that keep close ties with corporations. They can help you arrange an internship. We also have an online job board. So basically, a lot of corporations that are affiliated with RSM, they post internships, they post jobs, starting positions. So we have a lot of online jobs, jobs on our online board. They'll also help you prepare for going out to the job market. So if you want help writing a CV or have someone review your CV, if you're going to start applying, you can go to the Career Services Center. They also organize events and career fairs and that sort of thing very often. And they also host workshops and presentations from HR specialists from different companies. Some of our statistics. 79% of our graduates have a job within 3 months, and 98% has a job within 6 months. So these are pretty good career statistics. Most of our graduates end up in the consultancy world, 27%. And another large service is the financial services companies. And here are the average salaries of our graduates during the first year deployment. So pretty good statistics. And a nice pie chart so you can see where the rest of our graduates end up. 20 employers are our graduates. As you can see, a lot of companies are multinationals. A lot of them based in or around Rotterdam, and a lot of companies also have, they're really international. So some of our students get a job, for example, at ING in the Netherlands, and then they move around to different countries afterwards. And this doesn't really apply to me because it's for non-EA students. You don't need permits to get a job in the Netherlands or a visa. The application process. The first step in applying for a master's program at RSM is to register yourself in the national database called StudyLink. StudyLink, just to tell you, it has nothing to do with us. We don't like StudyLink very much. It's not usually very user-friendly, although it has improved over the years. So this is something, if you want to study in the Netherlands, you have to go through StudyLink at one point. It's just been updated, and the launch this year was the 10th of October, so we are open for business now. So you register in StudyLink, and within 24 hours, you should receive a mail. Usually it comes quicker than that, but within 24 hours, you should really receive a mail with a link to our online application form. If you don't get the mail, please contact us because something went wrong. This has been open for a few days now, and we've had a few issues. People didn't get the mail. Most of that has been solved now, but there could still be issues with the links. So if you don't get it, contact us and we'll figure out what happened. After that, you can submit the rest of your application in our own online application form, which we fondly call Olaf. In that platform, you need to upload your academic documents, your standardized test results, CV, that sort of thing. And you need to submit that on time. To give you guys a heads up, if you're interested in applying for RSM, please do so as soon as possible, preferably before Christmas, because between the 1st of January and end of March, we have deadlines for a couple of programs. And if you apply during that time, it can take up to 2 months for us to look at your application, because we have to give preference to our bachelor program at that time because we have a strict national deadline, and so it's really not to your advantage to wait till after Christmas to apply. You can apply before you have your GMAT and your standardized test scores for English. If you do apply without those scores, you'll get an email from us telling you that your application is incomplete, but that we will assess your academic credentials. And if you are found to be eligible, we'll let you know. And then as soon as you get your standardized test results, then you can upload those and admit you. So you can apply before you have all that stuff. Your enrollment, if you're admitted, needs to be complete by the 31st of August. And that means basically you need to we need to verify your bachelor and GMAT and English scores. So we need to have all that verified by the 31st of August. General admissions requirements. For all of our master's programs, you need to have a bachelor's degree from a research university. And depending on the master program that you're applying to, you need to have different types of relevant courses. If you have a Bachelor of Business Administration, you're probably eligible for all of our programs. If you have a Bachelor of Economics or Finance or something, then you'd be eligible for a smaller number of programs. And if you have a Bachelor in something completely unrelated and don't have a minor, for example, a large minor, then we still have the Master in Management course for you. We require a GMAT for all of our students of 600. An exception to that is for our Finance Investments Advanced program. For that program, we require a 650. But our International Management SEMS and Finance Investments Advanced program, those two are very competitive and selective. And having the minimum requirements for those two programs is probably not going to be enough for admission. So for those two programs, you can't get high enough, basically, for GMAT. For the other programs, if you have 600, that's fine. It's first come, first serve. For the other programs, if you meet the minimum requirements, we'll admit you. English proficiency. Something new this year, we also accept language tests official language tests from research universities in the EU. So if you've taken an English test at your university and you got a C1 or higher, then we'll also accept that for admissions. Application deadlines. The first deadline is for international management SEMs, 31st of January. Second deadline, 15th of March for finance investments advanced. Both of those two programs, as I just mentioned, are really selective. So that means we assess all of the submitted applications after the deadline, and the best students are selected. All of our other programs are rolling admission. That means we accept students on a first-come, first-served basis until either the program is full or until the deadline is passed. So the deadline officially for the rest of the programs is the 15th of May. But finance and investments and business information management, they both have caps because we're really popular. Those two programs always close before the deadline. And it depends, the deadline, when it's full, it's different every year. I think business information management closed first last year, and that closed at the beginning of April, I believe, and finance and investments closed a few weeks later. So if you're interested in either of those programs you need to have your GMAT and English done as soon as possible, because we can't admit you until you have those tests. And you don't want to apply after it's full, obviously. So, and for the two very selective programs, if you apply to either of those and you are eligible but aren't admitted, we'll always offer you an alternative admission. For finance investments advanced, most students who don't get in want the normal finance class. And for SEMs, if you're eligible for that, you're eligible for all of our programs. So if you don't get into SEMs, we say, basically get a blank check saying, okay, which other program do you want to do when you pursue anything else? Except for finance investments advanced, of course. Tuition fees. As I said before, all EA nationals get a really big scholarship from the Dutch government. So you only pay just over 2,000 euros a year for tuition. Scholarships don't apply because you get one automatically, and none of you need a visa. Accommodation. This is a list of the expenses, the estimated expenses students have a year. Most students pay about 1,000 euros a month, and that's including everything. Obviously, there's high-end renting apartments, and there's cheaper stuff. We do have some on-campus housing, although it fills up really fast. So if you are interested in on-campus housing, you need to apply early because you cannot get on-campus housing unless you've been admitted, so you need to apply early. It opens usually around the 1st of April every year. So you definitely want to apply before then. And once you get the information on that, make sure you pay attention to the date that the housing opens, because usually it fills up within a day. If you don't get on-campus housing, there's a lot of stuff around in the neighborhood of RSM. And we're building, at this moment, we're building some more housing. So in the next year or so, we'll have more stuff on campus. Online housing, by the way, runs at about 600 euros per month. There's, for example, the student hotel, which is something that's really close to our campus. That's much more high-end, that's close to 800. But then you get things like a bike, and there's a gym, and there's a restaurant in the building. You can even get a cleaning person to clean your room if you want, although you have to pay extra for that. But so that's more the high-end stuff. The cheaper stuff is mostly where the Dutch students end up. But that stuff is all around the campus, and then you can live in a smaller kind of Dutch student house. If you want to contact us, there are several ways to do that. We have a contact form on our website. Depending on the time of year, usually we try to get back to you within a couple of days. But if you ask us a question in our big rush period, like around January, February, it can take a bit longer for us to answer your questions. We also have a Facebook page, which is run by our ambassadors. And on the Facebook page, you can talk to a student of a specific nationality. We have quite a lot of Greek students. It's actually the 3rd largest nationality of our students. So very popular. Yes. First is Dutch, second is German, third is Greek. And you can also talk to students from specific master programs. Just to wrap up my presentation, why do I think that you should study in RSM? We have a complete portfolio of programs, so you can study basically any functional area of business at RSM. We are the leading international school of the Netherlands in business. and one of the top in Europe. We're extremely international, so if you want to go to a really international business school and learn to deal with students from all over the world, then this is a really good choice. Our student body consists of over 70 nationalities. And also we have lots of really cool exchange destinations. We have a really excellent reputation. As I said, we have triple crown accreditation, which only 1% of business schools worldwide can say. So you know that the quality is good at RSM. And we have a really high on investment, especially if you compare us to other top-ranked universities in Europe. And we have a, which I think is very unique and very good, is the Career Services Center. So we really help you after you graduate to find a job. This is a slide of our campus. We also have a virtual tour online on the, not on our website, but on the website of the Erasmus University. There's a virtual tour, so you can click around and see the campus. We have been renovating for the last 8 years or so. We actually just won an award on the best outside architecture. This big tower in the middle, that's the RSM building. That's where a lot of the classes are, and that's where the administrative offices are located. The other tower on the corner there, that's the on-campus student housing. That last building in the middle is a student pavilion. There's a theater in there, there's a bar, restaurant, and over on this corner, which you can't quite see, but that's the MBA building. So this is a nice picture of the campus. Questions?
First of all, thanks for the presentation. Actually, I have two questions. One is, how important is the working experience in the selection process?
Actually, it's not important at all because we're a pre-experience program. So most of our students have just finished their bachelor. That's the big difference between MBA and MSc. And an MBA, that's really for people who have working experience. Usually have to have at least 3, but preferably 5 years of working experience. For an MSc, it's really pre-experience. So most of our students are fresh out of the bachelor, or maybe have 1 or 2 years working experience. So we don't actually, consider it at all.
And my second question is, I'm mostly interested in Masters in Finance and Masters in Finance and Advanced. What I need to ask is, what does the Master in Finance and Advanced have to offer more than the regular Masters in Finance?
That program is, what it has extra is it has the built-in internship. It's much, much smaller. The Finance and Investments program is about 400 students, but the advanced program is only 45, so you have much more contact with the professors. We also have a built-in study trip, a lot of special classes. We get case studies, living management case studies from our corporate partners. So there's much more involvement with the business world in that program. So those are the biggest differences. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question because I know that some of our students ask that. So what happens with the grade actually from the university? Because I know that you guys say that you need a 7 and above, but what if someone has something which is close to 7, for example, and they meet all other requirements?
Very good question.
Like a 740 GMAT.
Well, if you get a 740 GMAT, then we don't really care what your grades were because yeah.
It's a long way for that.
So yeah, you can compensate to some extent for your GPA with your grades, with your GMATs. So I would say the farther your grade is from the group 7, the higher your GMAT has to be. People always say, well, what does it have to be exactly? Yeah, it's hard to say. We look at, of course, the big picture and how well you fit with the program. So if you have a dead 7 or if you have a 7 and above, then the 600 is fine. GMAT, the farther your grades are from the 7, the more we want you to compensate with a better GMAT. So, but just also to give you an idea about the GMAT, because a lot of people get a dead 600, which is our minimum requirement for most of our programs. They ask us if they should retake it, and the answer to that is definitely not, unless you want to go to the Finance and Investments Advanced program. Then you get the 650 to begin with, or the STEMS program. Those 2 programs, because they're selective admission, the higher your GMAT, the more chance you will have of getting into the program. But for all other programs, if you meet the minimum requirements, that's fine. So, yeah.
So your major advice for applications for SMEs to apply as early as possible.
Yes. You will make the admission staff happy, because most students apply about a week before the deadline, which makes our lives very difficult. And if you apply around the Christmas, or like after January, between January and say the end of March, that's when the bulk of our applications comes in, and so you have to wait a lot longer for a decision. So if you already know you want to go for RSM, apply now. And as I said, you don't have to have the GMAT yet, you don't have to have the English yet. We can still assess your application. You'll get feedback on your academics, and as soon as you have those test scores, you can upload that, and then we can just process your application. So yes, please make us happy and apply as soon as possible.
Another question is, if someone, for example, applies really late and he fails to be selected, what if the same person applies as early as possible next year with the same grades and the same GMAT? It's immediately, right?
Well, if you meet the minimum requirements, then yes, yeah. So yeah, and plus. And another thing, people also ask, can I apply for more than one program? No, you cannot apply for more than one program. So apply for the program you really want to do. If you aren't eligible for that program, or we will always look at your application, and we'll always give you an alternative offer of admission if we can. So, for example, say you apply for marketing, but you don't have any marketing in your background, but you do have a lot of finance. We'll give you an alternative. We'll say, yeah, sorry, you can't do marketing, but you can do finance and investments, or accounting, or whatever. So we always will give you an alternative. And for the advanced finance, investments, advanced, and the international management SEMS program, those programs we will always give you an alternative. If you just don't make the cut, but you were eligible, we'll always give you an alternative for those programs. So.
Another question. And many people fear the mathematics examination, so they prefer to apply to the Erasmus School of Economics instead. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I can imagine that nobody wants to do that.
Why should someone prefer RSM?
Yeah, well, it's really, economics is something different than business. They're related, but economics is way more theoretical. Business is much more practical. So, it really depends. I think if you want to go into business, then I would go for the business then, and not for economics. The Erasmus School of Economics is also excellent, but it is really different. It is not business. It's much more theoretical than RSM. So that's the biggest. But it's also good. There are, by the way, no bad research universities in the Netherlands. So obviously, I want you to come to RSM, but if you're interested in the Netherlands in general, not all of the universities are good. So I really think when you're making your choice, A, you should never put all your eggs in one basket, so apply to various schools, I would say, to begin with. And B, it really has to be a good fit. So if you can, it's really good to go to the university and check it out. Does the atmosphere fit you? It's a really important decision, right? Does the city, do you like the city? Rotterdam is, I think, a fantastic city. It's really changed in the last few years. Great vibe. But if you go there, maybe you think it's too big or not big enough. Those are some really important things. So make sure it fits you. So really, shop around and make sure that you choose something that you want to go for.
I have a question about GMAT. So we take into consideration the other parts of GMAT if we exclude the verbal and quantitative.
We actually don't look at the other parts, but I always say you paid for it, and if you need it for something else, it'd be kind of horrible to have to do the whole thing again because you didn't do the essay and the what is it called? So I always say just do the whole thing at least once, so you have those parts. For us, you don't need it, but you don't want to have to do it again, right?
I have another question, maybe one last question. It's not so much about the application process, but I was thinking, because all these students are Greek and they don't speak Dutch. So what is the future in the Netherlands if they want to get a job there? Just speaking English.
Everyone in the Netherlands speaks English, even little kids, so you definitely don't need English to get around. You definitely also don't need it in the job market. But the Dutch love it when foreigners speak Dutch, even if it's a little bit of Dutch. So if you think you want to stay in the Netherlands, I highly recommend that you we have a language center. You can actually come in August, so it's a bit before the course starts, and you can take a crash course in Dutch. In 2 weeks, you have A2 level. So yeah, definitely recommend it. I came to the Netherlands originally as an international exchange student, but at a time when there were no English language programs, so I actually had to learn Dutch really fast. But I did it, and I'm American originally, so Americans are really bad at languages in general, so I basically learned it from scratch in 3 months. So if I can do it, then you guys can definitely do it. But really, the Dutch love it when you speak Dutch. So it's an advantage to you if you do learn it, but it's definitely not something you have to do. Any other questions?
I work as a mechanical engineer, and I'm interested in finance and investments masters. Is it likely that I get accepted?
It depends on your curriculum. Like, for example, at the Technical University of Delft, we get quite a few engineers into our master's programs, but they did like a minor in business. So they did some finance courses. For most of our specialized masters, we need about 40 credits of relevant courses, including statistics and stuff too. But you need to have, depending on the master, you need to have certain courses for finance. You need to have at least a couple of courses in finance, and then you can fill the rest of it up with economics or business courses. So depending on what you did, we've definitely admitted Greek engineers to our finance program, but they did have like a minor in business or finance. So, and otherwise we have our master in management program. Another thing to remember, in the Netherlands, the first master you do is subsidized. The second one is not. You have to pay 11,000, so it's still not the high fee that non-EA students pay, which is 18. But you pay 11,000 for the second master, unless you leave one credit open in the first master. Then you can go on to do a second master, and it will be subsidized again. So this is a loophole that the Dutch government has not closed yet. I keep waiting for them to do it because this is obviously not what they want to do. They only want to pay for one master, not two. But at the moment, it's open. So some of our students who, for example, do our master in management program, they do that first, and then they go on to do another second specialized master. So that's also an option. Some students who do that, because the master management program is 16 months, but if you're fast, you can compact it down to a year and then go on to the second master afterwards. So that is also an option. But it will just take you an extra year. Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.